All right, Solomon Buchi versus Maraji. Should men's pain be validated too? Two. With Solomon Buchi, Solomon is a social media commentator. Maraji is a comedian, a skit maker, all of that. Uh, Women advocate. So, should men's struggle during pregnancy be acknowledged? Should it be appreciated? Should it be supported too? That's what we're talking about. Or, last but not least question, is that insensitive to the mystery of womanhood and pregnanthood or pregnancyhood? Is that something that we struggle with in this time and age? You know, it all started this, I can't recall his name, but shout out to him. He said verbatim, the day I had my son, I didn't sleep for like 12 hours. I had my son. Everybody was happy. Nobody even asked, Guy, how are you? When he said, Guy, how are you? There's a laugh that came out of me. I'm not making fun of him, okay? He's trying to make a point. And I'm guessing that video is much longer than the clip that the whole world reacted to and, went viral. He said, I did close to 48 hours without closing my eyes. The husband is a glorified errand boy. Nobody cares. It's kind of like similar to what we see about Father's Day. We all get boxers and socks and sometimes singlets, right? But the Mother's Day is what it is. Mother's Day is celebrated by all of us, right? Father's Day is celebrated by, routine, just routine, duty, fulfill all righteousness. Mother's Day, we go all out. We get the children, hey, make sure you appreciate your mother and stuff like that. For me, I'm okay with that. But anyway, that gentleman's post went viral. And of course, comedian Maraji did not like the comparison. Solomon Buchi stepped in. He came to save the day. He stepped like, everybody stop for a second here. And he basically said watching his wife going through pain made him lose sleep too. Okay. Maraji did not like the comparison, but Solomon said, you know what? Watching her go through pain, I lost sleep too. And then he reminded everybody of the duality of the human experience. It was a lot of English to say the least. It was a lot of English. But I have a few questions. When there's pregnancy and all of that, everybody focus the attention on the mother, right? Is that such a bad thing? It's a question. But also, does that mean, if it's not such a bad thing, does that mean we don't acknowledge what men goes through? I won't say two. I won't say two because it's not a comparison. Gentlemen, it's not a comparison. Is that, Maraji is calling it tone deaf. I think it's kind of tone deaf. I think it's about reading the room. I think it's about certain things that we don't need to say, certain things we don't need to say. But some people say it's dangerous because that's what's wrong these days. We can't hear men out. Men can no longer speak their mind. They can't say what they feel. And guess who the biggest advocates of that is? Women. Women want men to speak up. Speak up. Tell us what you're going through. I'm going to train my boys to speak up and not go through stuff. Except when their wife is pregnant. So here's the real question, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the real question. Should men's struggle during pregnancy be acknowledged, supported, appreciated, or is that an outright insult? It's a question. It's a question. Is there a danger attributed to men being quiet during pregnancy or ever, or even telling the story 20 years later? Is there some kind of danger to that? It's very clear to me that there's danger Okay, there's danger in the divine labor to have offsprings, right? That women only go through. Only women carry that burden from a physical standpoint, but even when it's happening emotionally, right? In every sense you can think of it, there's no way to compare a man's experience to that of women, right? But is it an abomination to talk about emotionally what a man could potentially be going through? See, me, I can't use mine because as far as I'm concerned, making sure that my wife is safe because of the pain she's going through while she was pregnant is not, I don't interpret that as pain for me. I interpret that as, how do I interpret that? I interpret that as, yeah, of course, like duh, like of course I care. I want to make sure she's safe, right? But other men are saying no, like it's okay. We should be able to talk about this. You know, some people say a man's role during pregnancy is simple: just show up and pay the bills. But do you agree that emotional presence costs more than financial support ever could? Okay, now financial support, yes, but does it cost more than what the woman, the risk of carrying a pregnancy? That's a question. Right now, some other people said, okay, emotions during pregnancy threaten a sacred narrative. That was a comment that I saw. And then women suffering must always stand alone to be respected. Right? Is this true? Is this reality? What does this look like in real life? One of the things that we discount truthfully is that emotional health or mental health is part of our reality. But what's your opinion? I would like to know what you think. Okay. Yeah, somebody said this is hard for me. This was hard for me too. Somebody said I was pregnant in the head. We were mentally pregnant. That's what some men said. But hey, here's the truth. I'm going to leave you guys with this on this particular topic. Not everything seen by the eyes or perceived by the art needs to be spoken words. Okay, some things it's not like you're burying it, but you have to find other source of outlet. Okay, the reality is that there are double standards on both sides of the gender. Of when I say gender, I mean man and woman. There's there's double standards on both sides. And this is one of those situations where we have to give it to women. In my personal opinion, I still want to know your thoughts, but this is in my personal opinion, this is one of the situations where we have to, so I'm not really surprised at the pushback. I'm not surprised. I do think the world right now, especially social media, is overly reactive to everything negatively, very sensitive. We can't talk anyhow, but still, I think this one is one of those situations we have to give to women. Okay. Empathy is not gendered, but nonetheless, we have to face reality when it comes to social construct. It's part of the things that I teach. Social construct. You have to pay attention to social construct. It's called social intelligence. You have to learn how to read a room. There's certain things Yoruba people so there's a reason for that. We're not wiser than those people. We might have more knowledge, more information, more internet, but we're not necessarily wiser than those people. And we have to move very, very carefully, but with freedom. All right. Let me see here. Shout out to Not to Say True. I don't know what you're saying true to, but let's move on to the other stories around the world. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. You know the rest. I'll be right back. This is Ola, man of Prestige, your favorite relationship and marriage coach. If you enjoyed this, smash that like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Be a part of the Prestige family. My wife Lola and I have written 2 powerful books, Get My Marriage Back and Number 1 Red Flag. Yours free at manofprestige.com. For personal coaching, send me a WhatsApp request for consultation to +1 732 305 8577. Stay tuned for more. Your journey to love and prestige starts here.